Hey howdy hey DC heroes and villains, Wolfman47 here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the DC animated universe. So those of you that have followed me on my blog for a long time now will know that this is my number one all-time favourite TV franchise, as I like to sort of collectively consider it a TV franchise. So you're probably wondering what the DC animated universe is, so I'll first of all explain. It's a collection of traditionally Saturday morning cartoons that were basically had the same animation style, same voice actors, same producers, and all that other stuff. It started with the Batman the animated series and finished with Justice League Unlimited, with lots of other different TV shows in between, and also some films, including a couple that have the same animation and voice cast, but the canon of which is open-ended. So I guess I'll start with what I think about each show. So first off is Batman the Animated Series. Now this came out in the late 80s and is the show that basically established Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill and Arlene Sorkin as the sort of definitive or best versions of their respective characters, so Batman, Joker and Harley Quinn. Speaking of Harley Quinn, this is the show where she made a debut. She was not in the comics beforehand, so she made a debut here and it's been a staple for Batman ever since. It's also known to having a lot of mature sort of themes to it, even though it's sort of tailored towards a sort of children/family audience, and it's helped re-establish different Batman villains, in particular one notable one being Two-Face, whose origin was very different in the comics, but in the TV show he's portrayed more as a sort of tragic villain, and he isn't the first villain to be treated as a tragic villain, because in the show, because there's also I forget her name, but this character who is basically a grown-up woman trapped in a child's body. So that's her. So that's that. And lots of other great, wonderful things as well. It went on for quite a long time, and it did go through one change in animation and so forth to sort of fall in line with the show that came sort of after it / sort of in line with it, or whatever you want to call it, Superman the Animated Series, which self-explanatory, it's Superman, not Batman, which established Tim Daly as a great voice actor for Superman, and Clancy Brown, to many people, being the definitive Lex Luthor. Yes, the Clancy Brown that also voices Krabs in SpongeBob SquarePants, in case you were wondering. I'm more leaning towards the Batman animated series over the Superman one in particular, because I'm a Batman fan and I think Kevin Conroy is the best Batman there is. He and all these other voice actors that have been part of the franchise, they didn't just voice their characters and then move on to other projects. No, they carried on voicing the characters in other different things as well. So I know Tim Daly did a Superman's voice in one of the animated DC films that came out years later. Obviously, as you know, Kevin Conroy voiced Batman in the Arkham games and also various other animated projects and so forth. And at one point, both shows were part of a sort of animation hour called the Superman Batman Adventures, or hour, whatever you want to call it, which continued with both the animation styles. It did mean that a lot of Batman characters had to go through a lot of changes, in particular the Joker, who lost his signature red lips for a while, but then those were brought back, albeit darker, in later versions of his character. So after Superman the Animated Series and Batman the Animated Series came to an end, we then got a sequel series to Batman the Animated Series called Batman Beyond. So this is the show that was set sort of into the way future of the DC animated universe, establishing a much older Bruce Wayne who has sort of retired from becoming Batman after realizing that he can no longer do it because he's just too old and too crippled and everything. And then he meets Terry McGinnis. Terry McGinnis decides to steal one of his bat suits and sort of tries to help relate to Bruce Wayne. Obviously, Bruce Wayne at first doesn't want to know him or anything like that, but ultimately is won over with the fact that Terry McGinnis has a very familiar story to how Bruce Wayne became Batman, and so he becomes the new Batman of Gotham, fighting his own set of his own rogue gallery, but also encountering some of Batman's own villains, albeit the sort of OG Batman, albeit old, crippled, and other reasons. With the most notable exception being the Joker, until the Batman Beyond's Return of the Joker film, which established that the Joker did actually die at one point. And it's actually notable for being the first and I guess only time in the DC animated universe, but I could be wrong about that he got killed in a quite bloody way. Hence why there's like two different versions of his death in the film. So you got the uncensored one where he's basically shot dead by Tim Drake, the second Robin, because Jason Todd's not really a Robin in this particular DC universe. And another one where he's just thrown through a bunch of wires and so forth, which is the kind of sort of TV friendly version, I guess you could say. But I guess if it was like shown past the watershed, then the uncensored version would be fine. But anyway, it is what it is. The Batman the Anime series also had a few films as well. Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, Mystery of the Batwoman, and I think that's it, but there might be more. So after Batman Beyond came to an end, we also got it got a spin-off in the form of Zeta Project, which continued the adventures of one of the characters from the show. Unfortunately, for reasons, we never got that show here in the UK. I don't know why. And also there was Static Shock as well, which while very different from other DC Animated Universe things, is established as part of the DC Animated Universe, even though the animation and the stuff that it tackles in that show is quite different from what happens. But he has crossovers with the other shows, so yeah. Then we got Justice League, which brought not only Superman and Batman, Superman this time voiced by George Newbern, whatever, because Tim Daly was unavailable, and together they formed the Justice League after a team of heroes banded together to help save their world from aliens. So this version of the Justice League has Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Martian Manhunter. The Green Lantern in this one being John Stewart, Flash being Wally West, Wonder Woman not really being that well known of a hero at the time, and was more of a rookie kind of hero when she joined the team. And obviously Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter, which are not always known to be associated with the Justice League, but I think this was like the first time that they were actually founding members of the Justice League. And Justice League, the animated series, was unique because it was the only DC Animated Universe show where every episode was a multi-part story. So you'd usually get two parts to one story, but then you'd also get a three-part story as well, which was usually the series premiere, the series finale of Series 1, and the series finale of Series 2. And at the end of Series 2, more Justice League came about in the form of Justice League Unlimited, which went back to the self-contained stories that the rest of the DC Animated Universe was known for, albeit with the occasional multi-part story as well. And as the name implies, it sort of established that the Justice League expanded to feature many other members, most of which you wouldn't necessarily have seen be part of the Justice League in the comics because of rules and so forth, but this time it's pretty much everybody because they can. And it's not really, and every episode focuses on a small team of heroes fighting and all that, sometimes featuring the entire team, in particular sort of the major event episodes, which were always good. And then at the end of Justice League Unlimited Season 3, that was it for the DC Animated Universe. We still had comic books and we still had graphic novels, and there was even plans for the shows to continue in some other capacity, because Bruce Timm, who was the main sort of head of all of the DC Animated Universe, really wanted that franchise to flourish, and it did flourish. And even years later, people do still fondly remember and talk about it, in particular because of Kevin Conroy being the one that kind of started it all as his Batman. But it's not necessarily, but because it's the end, because Justice League Unlimited kind of saw it come to an end, that doesn't mean the franchise didn't continue in some other way, because many years later we then got two films that were that had the animation style of the DC Animated Universe, and even had some of the voice cast of the shows returning. But in the end, it was more about. In the end, they were more open-ended, if anything, which I guess is fine. But Kevin Conroy was still part of it, and I've not yet. And at the time of doing this video, I don't think the third part of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated one, has come out yet. And I know the Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond has appeared in that 3-part film saga, so I don't know how they kind of connect. So yeah, so that's the DC Animated Universe in a nutshell. A solid universe that's pretty much what the DC Extended Universe should have been, because it's pretty much like how the MCU does things. Lots of serious stuff, lots of tragic moments and everything, but lots of fun moments too. So it's not all completely terrible and bad. It's all good and helps re-establish things and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's the DC Animated Universe. I wish Kevin Conroy was still around to voice Batman, but yeah, you know what happened to him. And Mark Hamill as well, even though Mark Hamill is still alive at the time of this video, well, actually no, at the time of recording of this video, he has made it clear that he's not going to voice the Joker again, because the deal that he and Kevin Conroy usually is that he'll only do it if Kevin Conroy's involved, hence why after the DC Animated Universe stuff, Mark Hamill only joined up to play Joker if Kevin Conroy was involved. And I think after the DC Animated Universe, the only times that they've actually returned to voice their characters together is the Arkham games, and a few of the animated stuff, in particular Killing Joke, and I know they're going to voice their characters in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3, and because Kevin Conroy finished it before he died, and there was another one. Oh yeah, Lego DC Supervillains, where they're there as well. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. Love to know what you think of the DC Animated Universe, and I do really check it out, because it is a great universe of shows, and something that the DC Extended Universe should have been about. Serious stuff, but humorous stuff, and everything just sort of connects and makes sense. That's all That's all the makers of how a shared universe should be. Everything connects, everything makes sense. There's one clear direction. That's all you need. And yeah, that's the end of it. So, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share, comment and subscribe using the buttons below, or wherever they are these days. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. Kevin Conroy is the best Batman. Change my mind if you want, but it's probably not going to change my opinion of him, because he's the best Batman, or was the best Batman. Same Mark Hamill with the Joker, and Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn. Well, with the exception of Margot Robbie, because she is my fan. And I guess, yeah, even if a show's animation looks a bit odd and weird, just give it a shot, because just because the animation does look a bit strange nowadays, it was a major thing back in the day. So do honestly check it out when you get a chance to. So yeah, alright, doodles.